All right, today we're talking positional previews and we're talking wide receivers, and we're going to do that right now. What's going on, everybody? It's Bob's Three-Toed Warriors from Studio 1329 with Word on the Street Season 1, Episode 29, cranking along here in the preseason. Can't wait for the regular season. Today we are breaking down the positional previews. We're talking about, the top 10 to 15, somewhere in there. We'll see where we finish. And then we'll continue that conversation on the live stream, which is going to be Wednesday, which will be the replay that will happen on Saturday. So we might go 3 days on the wide receivers. There's just so many more of them than the running backs, but we're going to get into that. But today I have Charlie joining with me, and he's going to go in and we're going to talk about the wide receivers. So Charlie, how you doing today, buddy? What's the good word?
I'm doing well. It's I'm in the UK, as you can probably tell from my accent. So it's nearly midnight, so the family are all in bed, and here I am talking football. So that's good.
I love it, Charlie. Let listeners know, for those who aren't watching it on the YouTubes, let listeners know where they can find you at.
Right, I'm on Twitter at NFL NDFF. That stands for NFL Non-Draft Fantasy Football.
Awesome.
So you can find me there. That's the best place. I've got Facebook and everything, but it's really Twitter for me.
Twitter, awesome. Yeah, same here. I have an Instagram page. All it has on there is my logo.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about the positional preview of the wide receivers. We're also going to talk about this amazing new format that you are breaking out for those who love to play fantasy football. And so we're going to sprinkle that in. So I'm going to tease everybody on that part for a second here. So just give a little teaser, but why don't you go ahead and give them the website while we are doing that part now. So, if they're using two browser windows or something, they can kind of do both.
Yep, go and log in. It's NFL Non-Draft Fantasy Football.com or NFLNDFF.com for short, the easier, shorter version. So it's a new format for fantasy football, and I'll tell you all about it as the pod goes on.
Nah, you know what? We're not teasing it. We're doing it right now. I can't wait. I'm excited about it. I was just on there and I was making my own team, and it was a lot of fun. And so I really wanted to tease it out, but we'll tease it out. We'll do it now. We're going to tease out the wide receivers. They're coming up soon. So
all right, they're slightly less important. Okay,
what do you got?
It's a game that's based on the English Premier League game that we play over here for soccer, as you might call it, and it's a way instead of drafting, as we all love to do, you pick your team using a salary cap basis. So you have 100 million to buy 16 players, and it's kind of like a season-long version of DFS.
Nice.
You keep your team throughout the season. Yeah, you keep your team throughout the season. You can make trades each week. You can make one trade, so swap one player out for another player. You can make more than one trade, but it costs your team points. And so we share players, in draft. Listen, I love drafting players. One thing I don't like about it is I'm sometimes unsatisfied with the team I end up with. If I really want, let's say, Christian McCaffrey, and I don't have the first pick, well, I'm not going to get him.
Nope.
So if I'm a Panthers fan and that's who I really want in my team, I'm not going to get him unless I trade, of course. But so this way you can pick the players you want in your team, and you have an MVP, which is you pick each week. You pick your MVP, and that is he scores double points. So the whole sharing players thing, we might end up with similar teams, and having your MVP, picking who that is, getting double points will be a differential to other teams, and everyone's in the same league. So in the Premier League game, we have 7.5 million people in one league. When you look at the league table, it goes on for
who's the commissioner of that one?
Yeah. So I mean, there's like 54 million people playing fantasy in the States. So you could have a 54 million people league table. And you can also make mini leagues. So you can do a little mini league.
Well, that's what I did earlier, or what I joined earlier was a mini league.
So you're joining the podcast league.
Cool.
So you're in the global league. You're also with the same team in a little mini league with other podcast hosts, and then you could do another one with your friends and family or whatever.
Neat.
So yeah, that's the gist of it. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a great way to play fantasy. You can tinker with your team as much as you want. So you've just logged on and you signed up. You picked your team, but until the deadline day, which is 15 minutes before the first game, you can change your team as much as you want. So you've got all the time there. And lastly, I just want to say everyone's got a price. Haven't we all? No, each player has a price at the beginning of the season, based on rankings. And as the season goes on, the more people that trade that player into their team, the price goes up.
Sure.
And as people drop him, the price goes down. So if there's a player who who suddenly is looking pretty good, you want to get on him early so you can get him at a cheap price before everyone else drives the price up.
Nice. Anyway, I like it. That sounds like a ton of fun.
Yeah, it is. It's a really fun way to play. I mean, I've been playing the Premier League version for years. I love it. I was trying to find something similar in the NFL world, couldn't find it, so I decided to make it. And so here we are. So yeah, let's see how it goes. Everyone log in, NFL. ndff.com, sign up and play.
All right, you heard the man. That's your that, and then following him on Twitter, subscribing on the YouTube, hit the notification bell for the podcast here. That's just some of your quick homework. Little beep beep boop boop. Just click the buttons there. I can be found on Twitter at Bob's3Toad, on YouTube at Bob's3Toad Warriors. The Facebook group page is the Word on the Streets fantasy football page. So get in there, sign up. Shows currently drop on Monday and Thursdays, with the live stream on Wednesday and the replay of the live stream on Saturdays. That will change as the season starts up. And also there will be a sweet major announcement coming up soon for that as well, and some of the changes. What kind of beverage we got there? Look like a Heineken, but
it's a German Beck's.
Okay, yeah.
My wife's Rebecca, and we got a Beck's.
Okay. I got my unofficial sponsor here, Mr. Not Cherry today, Peach Crown Royal. So one of the guys in the draft brought over a bottle, and it was a long night, long morning.
When I'm listening to your pod, I always like hearing the ice hitting the glass.
Yeah, he's hitting the glass. That's right.
Yeah.
It magically sits on the same side as the microphone. All right. Let's get into the show here. So thank you guys for hanging out for that fun portion. Let's get into what the show is all about, and that's the wide receivers, the top 10-ish wide receivers. So these rankings are derived from this guy right here, me. I made them up myself. Maybe they're not the best. Maybe they are. Maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm not. Maybe the world's wrong. Who knows? Season will tell us that. We'll see as we go. But first on my list, I have Michael Thomas, and that's not a surprise to anyone in the world. You probably agree with that one yourself.
Yeah, I think that's a given. We're PPR or half PPR here?
We're half PPR, just so people can kind of sway a little bit to either direction. But in PPR, it was not even close last year. I think Emmanuel Sanders could definitely affect him some this year because he's a very talented guy.
Mm-hmm. Well, it gives the opposing defense something else to worry about. So Michael Thomas might get a bit more room that way. So
that could help him at the same time. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. So I won't even break into his stats. He was just an absolute beast. I do project him to come down some, so he's only about 30 points ahead of my next guy instead of, I think, like 60 points or so, or whatever he was last season. But we'll leave Michael Thomas alone. That feels like just a no-brainer. That's like the Christian McCaffrey of the running back world, right?
The thing I love about Michael Thomas is he's unstoppable. They try and mark him, but he does it every week.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so and I didn't tier these out like I did my running backs. My bad. But these two guys, these next three guys are probably all in the same tier for me. That's going to be Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, and Julio Jones, and that is not in the order that everyone else has them in. Everybody else would have. I say everyone else. The consensus on Fantasy Pros is what I'm using here. They have Devontae Adams, Julio Jones, and then Tyreek Hill. So I got Tyreek Hill 2 spots above. And basically by about the difference of one extra touchdown. So does that seem outlandish to you while I pull up my reasoning behind it?
The thing about Tyreek Hill, I feel he's a little bit boom or bust.
Yes, he is.
So exciting, and he's on a very high scoring offense. So he could be the best wide receiver in the league. But someone like Devontae Adams, I'd have him second because every week he's going to get a lot of targets. And Aaron
Same thing with Julio.
And Julio as well, yeah. Tyreek and Julio, I'd probably, it's a toss-up. But I think I like Devontae more just because he's guaranteed the targets. But yeah, they're all much for muchness. On our website, we've got all of them priced at 8.5 million. So you take your choice out of all of those. It's and DeAndre Hopkins, but I think we're going to get on to him a little bit later.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are.
Maybe quite a bit more later than everyone thinks.
Damn. Yeah, we are. Oof. I'm going to revisit that ranking. All right. So I don't know that Tyreek Hill's ranking for me or his projection for me is why he's so high. I think I just might be lower on the other two. So when I look at it, I slated him for 87 receptions, 1,300 yards, just a hair over, 10 touchdowns. I didn't even give him a rushing touchdown this year. He hasn't had one in a while. So since he was a gadget man, but he's always able to get one when he swings across the front there. But now they're touch passes instead of runs. So. So 87 receptions, 1,300 yards, 10 touchdowns. If you look at his last couple years, and granted last year he was injured, his 2017, almost 1,200 yards, almost 1,500 yards in a full season 2 years ago. And in 3/4 of the season, about 900 yards. So 1,300 yards isn't that far off his regular pace. 12 touchdowns in the 1,500 season, 7 last season on the shortened season. It's not crazy, and it's totally doable.
It's really not. And the Chiefs are such a high-scoring team, and they've got a lot of weapons. I don't know. I've heard a lot about CEH, but I haven't seen him play. I don't watch college, so I'm very excited to see him. But he's gonna take a lot of attention. Obviously Kelsey, and I really like Mecole Hardman. They're two speedy guys, so they're going to be hard to cover. And Tyreek might really benefit from that.
Yeah, that's the interesting part is Sammy Watkins, Mecole Hardman, who really dominates and takes over as that second guy and gets the production advantage from it. Because right now I've got them very similar to each other. But me being all over the Mecole Hardman train would love to have him take off because I have no Sammy Watkins in my life.
Sammy Watkins kind of fools you into drafting him every year, and last year he was great for week 1, and that was it, wasn't it?
Yeah, right. Yeah, then that didn't matter, right? Let's take a look at Green Bay and let's take a look at Devontae Adams here. So I have him right behind Tyreek Hill, and 102 receptions, 1,230 yards, 9 TDs. I think I brought him a little bit back more into his TD realm. He kind of took a nap after being the TD monster. That's a rough name to say fast. The TD monster.
So who's number 2 there in your opinion?
Lazard, I assume. That's who I projected as number 2. But
a lot of love for Lazard.
Yeah.
Hardman and Lazard are 2 of my sleeper, kind of got them on a lot of my teams, my dynasty teams, because I just think I thought the chemistry Lazard had with Aaron Rodgers was fantastic.
Yeah, they drafted a lot of running wide receivers last year, and that chemistry never really developed. So that's an interesting point you bring there.
Just from watching the games, I like Green Bay, and I really enjoyed Lazard, and he seemed to be pretty good. So I think he's going to be really good this year. And again, that's going to help Devontae Adams. It will take some pressure off him and give the opponent something to think about. I really think Devontae is up for a big year. People are calling them a running team. Let's see what Aaron Rodgers thinks about that. And and he just loves Devontae Adams, and
he does. 2 years ago, 111 receptions, almost 1,400 yards, 13 touchdowns. So when you say love, they should be in a State Farm commercial together. I'm surprised they haven't been.
I think Aaron Rodgers wants all the cash for that one. He doesn't want to share.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think if Green Bay do well, I think Adams will do really well.
Yeah, I gave him 1,229 yards, 102 receptions, 9 touchdowns. It's lighter. It's probably on pace for what he did last year, because I don't think the offense did as much as it could have. It was definitely a little lackluster, even though they made the playoffs, I'd say.
Yeah, well, they were leaning on the running game a lot more than they had done in the past, and it was working. So they stuck with it. But again, that helps Adams. I think Aaron Jones will be big again, and Devontae Adams might not get enough action because they're running it too much. That is a worry as well.
So here's the next guy. That's Mr. Julio Jones, which I have in 4th. Everybody else has 3rd. And his reasoning, I could probably give him a couple more receptions. I might bump him up a little, but give him 98 receptions. I don't like him being under 100. He should probably be a little bit over 100. I got him for 1,400 yards on those 98 receptions, though. Mm-hmm. And here's what always kills him to me, and it's the 6 touchdowns.
Yeah, I know. It's a surprise every time. He gets all the receptions and, never the touchdowns.
Yeah, touchdowns for him the last 3 years, 3, 8, and 6. Granted, he did miss one game in that span, so maybe that's the reason why.
I remember the season where he got 3 because I had him in my first round in my redraft league that year. And,
So in that season, he had 88 receptions. So a little less than I said, and 1,444 yards. So the man can get some yards after reception.
Yeah,
he can make it happen there. He just needs the touchdowns to go with it. 2 years ago, 113 with almost 1,700 yards and 8 touchdowns. I mean, Calvin Ridley is growing to be a little more of a threat, though, I think.
I mean, if you put touchdowns onto that, I mean, it'd be unstoppable, right?
It'd be beautiful.
I think Ridley's great. Again, I mean, these top 3, they've all got really kind of exciting number 2s. But Calvin Ridley, I think, could possibly overtake him this year. I think he might score higher, just because Julio's going to be looked after by the corners, and Ridley might just find a bit more space. I think they're going to be throwing a lot, the Falcons. I've got high hopes for Gurley. Don't know if he's going to play 16 games, but I think he'll do well in that offense. And whether Hayden Hurst will slip into Hooper's tight end role seamlessly. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people think he will, and Matt Ryan seems very happy with him, so that could happen. So it's pretty well spread, and so why wouldn't you go to Julio more often than not if you were Matt Ryan? I wonder if it might be a little bit more spread though, and he might just not get as many receptions as he'd like.
I think, and I think that's why when I statted him out, I kept him under that 100 mark, because basically you put in how many passes and then what percentage you want each guy to get, and then check them back and make sure that I'm not doing something crazy. I just looked down at the tight end when you were talking about Hayden Hurst. I have him as my tight end 5. Holy hell! Right. We're not going there on this show. You got to wait for the tight end positional preview in another week or two. We'll talk about it then. But damn, tight end 5 for Hayden Hurst. I am.
Well, he could be. He really could be. I mean, it's an open field. I think that
right?
the top 3 or 4 are pretty set. But yeah, the 5th spot is up for grabs, I'd say.
Absolutely. All right. So that was the one big tier right there, and so we're gonna take a momentary pause, not for a sponsor, but we're gonna take a pause. For those watching on the YouTube, you see behind Charlie here, he's got a ton of, I'm gonna say banners, beach towels. I'm not sure what they are, but they're pretty cool. I see 8 of them. I could be more of them in the room. I don't know, but I see a good 8 of them. I see the Chiefs, the Jags, Tampa Bay, maybe the Browns, Chargers, Rams, Raiders. Get the hell out of here. Raiders and the Chiefs and the Chargers. No Broncos love. And the Dolphins on there.
Well, I'll tell you why there's no Broncos love is because they haven't come to England. They haven't hosted a game.
Is that what that's all about?
These are all the flags that you in the international games at Wembley and at White Hart Lane. These are the flags that everyone gets on their seat. So everyone goes.
That means you've been to the games.
I've been to the games. I've been to plenty. And Bob, my real job, I'm a cameraman. I film TV shows, I film festivals, and I also film the NFL games when they come over here, which is my favorite job, which has been taken away from me this year, unfortunately. But yeah, it's my favorite job. And so, yeah, whenever I'm there, I went for many years as a customer, as a punter, and then I started filming them. And whenever I've been, I've grabbed one of these and I've saved it for this occasion. And
that's awesome. That's very cool.
One of these teams is my team.
Okay.
Can you guess which one?
Well, you're leaning back and forth.
I'm just trying to show you the whole lot.
Oh, okay. You weren't trying to tease the team.
No.
I'm gonna say the Jaguars are somehow like the home team out there. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna go with them just for that reason. Definitely not because they're the best team. But I'm gonna go with them for that reason. What's the answer?
It's not the Jaguars. I mean, they play every year, so that's why they're meant to be the home team. They're kind of signed up, and who knows if they're eventually going to be the London Jaguars. My team are over there, the
Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm of an age where in the 80s we had a show which showed NFL highlights, and Dan Marino was slinging it about and. Was the most exciting man on TV, if not second to David Hasselhoff in Knight Rider. So yeah, there's a lot of Dolphins fans my age in the UK, and cool. And for once I'm quite excited about their prospects or the team anyway. I mean, I'm excited about Tua. I think he won't probably play much this year, but I'm really excited about his future. And him and Preston Williams and Devontae Parker, it could be really good. And I really like Brian Flores. I think he's an excellent coach. He falls off the Belichick tree, and he really looks like he knows what he's doing. And we've had Adam Gase there and some others that I'm really glad to see.
No need to say more than Adam Gase.
No, exactly. I mean, I had high hopes for him, but it really didn't go anywhere. And I'm very glad he's at the Jets now, stinking it up.
Yeah. So speaking of cameramen and jobs, so back in the day, I worked in managed circuit cities back when they existed. It's an electronics store, or was here in the States, and it was just his job was like not maintenance, maintenance. I don't know, fixing stuff that would break within our systems, and you cover a bunch of stores, and those guys always chit chat with you while they're working. And somehow we got on the subject of other jobs or whatever. And his other job was being a cameraman for the Denver Broncos. I lived in Denver at that time, and now I live in Chicagoland. For the Denver Broncos. That was also when they were winning Super Bowls back in the 90s. But it wasn't just recording. It was actually, his job was recording the cheerleaders. Yeah. I'm like, do you actually accept pay for this job or just do it for free?
That was his only job, or that was just part of his job?
It's the only part he told us about. So
yeah, that's the being concentrated on, right?
I don't know. I don't know if that was just the only job or not, but that's the only part I remember.
That's the bit you were really jealous of.
No, just being able to go to the games would have been cool anyway. So Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm so thankful to be doing it. I knew the company that did it, and I begged them. I said, look, I really know the game. I love it. I just really want to be there, and I'd love to film it. And they took me up on it, and thankfully, I knew what I was doing because I knew who to watch. And it's really weird because you're focusing just on one player or a wide receiver and the corner that goes with him, and you're just focusing on that, and you just you kind of, it's hard to follow the game, but I just love it. I saw the Dolphins a couple of years ago play the Saints, and it was a complete wipeout. It was like 21-0 or something like that. The Dolphins didn't get a point, and I still loved it. I just really enjoyed being there. It was great.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, I look forward to the international series happening again next year. Fingers crossed. Really a shame not to happen this year, but it's understandable.
Yeah, we shall see. We shall see. So let's jump back into the next tier here, and I'm gonna call this tier. God, I hate to put this fourth person outside of it. I'm gonna go 3 deep here. With Kenny Galladay, Amari Cooper, and Adam Thielen. And what's your thoughts on that tier? A little too early for some of them, a little too late, just on basis of those 3 guys.
Yeah, they're all question marks for me. I like Kenny Galladay. I think he's he's the main man in Detroit, and he's exceptional. And so not so much him. Amari Cooper, I mean, he's great, but there's so much going on in Dallas that is he going to get enough targets? Again, I haven't seen CeeDee Lamb, but I've heard a lot about him, and so and Zeke, and I'm forgetting who their number 2 is.
Michael Gallup.
Yeah. So I worry Amari's not going to get enough action. Adam Thielen, on the other hand, he should get a lot of targets because there's not many people to go to in the Vikings. Again, a very heavy run heavy team, but he's been great with his little yellow gloves. He just catches it. You always know where he is. You see him lined up, and he's like, "Oh yeah, there's the yellow gloves."
Yeah.
He's been a bit banged up, so we'll see if he can last the season. And I think Jefferson, somewhere in the slot should be good for the Vikings. And who's their third one? BC Johnson, is it? I mean,
we'll see. Yeah,
they've got a couple of good tight ends. But yeah, I think they're all got a lot of potential. Those 3. I take Kenny Galladay out of the 3, and I'd probably go Thielen over Cooper. But you're still pushing that Hopkins down. I mean, where is this guy?
Oh, he's coming. He's coming. He's coming. All right. So for Galladay, he's done almost 1,100, almost 1,200 yards the last 2 years. I'm calling him for 1,214, slightly higher, not much. He's also missed a game in there, so I think that's how I countered that to make that logical in my mind. Got him for 11 touchdowns, which is what he did last year. Nothing outlandish. The man is just gets the yards. He's 15, 18 yards a reception kind of guy, and I got him for 17, kind of in the middle there. So I'm just a huge fan, and maybe that tilted my answer a little. I also love Matt Stafford coming back. I mean, he did 1,200 yards last year without Matt Stafford for the bulk of the season. So a healthy full season with his squad. Marvin Jones out there also being a threat. It's like, which guy you covering? Nope. Oh, TJ's underneath if he's not, if he's on the field. And they got running backs that are decent. So they just got a nice little squad there.
Yeah.
If we go over to Thielen, like you said, the amount of work he's getting, and Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper is not going to be on any of my teams probably ever unless I'm playing best ball. And I've said that a million times. I'll say it again. I don't like his boom bust as much. Maybe he'll come back around. Tyreek Hill can be boom busty, and somehow I accept it. But it doesn't seem as deadly when it happens or as as sporadic and where you have to take them. Take Cooper. I just like the guys around him.
Yeah.
All right. Let me
just say Tyreek Hill. He's boom or bust, but he'll take it to the end zone. Whereas, when he grabs it, he goes all the way. Whereas Cooper, not so much.
Exactly. All right. So you don't like my ranking of Hopkins, huh?
Well, what's your theory? What's behind it?
All right. I am pulling up my theory while you're telling him why he shouldn't be there. I'm gonna cheat and defer.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he's got a history of being exceptional. He's on a new team. He's on a team that's going to be throwing the ball a lot and play a lot of 3 or 4 wide receiver sets. So there's a lot to cover. It's going to be hard to double team in that situation. And if opponents just double team him, they're going to score points elsewhere. I think he really, he really wants to do well there. Why wouldn't he? And he's
he wants to do bad.
He's one of the best wide receivers I've ever seen.
He is amazing.
I think Kyler Murray is an awesome quarterback. He's another year in, and it's a pass heavy team. So I'm not saying he's going to be wide receiver 1 at the end of the season, but where have you got him down? He's down 7, I suppose, is it?
Yes, 8.
So it's not that far off.
8,
is it?
Even worse.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Right. So yeah, but it could, they haven't had the off season to connect, and so he, it might take him a year. This time next year, you might be ranking him higher, but I can see why you've got him lower.
Well, so here it is, and I think this time next season will be different because I think the pieces will be more defined within that team. Larry, assumably, should be gone.
Yeah, I'd imagine so.
Some different pieces like that. So here is, I'm going to give you his last 3 years first. 15 games, 16 games, 15 games. So right around 100 receptions in 2 games, 115 in the middle season there was a full season. So between 105, 115 receptions a year. Almost 14, almost 16, and almost 1,200 yards. That was his yardage there. And then 13, 11, 7 touchdowns going down a little with his team. So that's Hopkins. Let's take a look. Damn it, I moved the thing, and there it goes. Okay. I gave him 95 receptions. Not much different than last year. And that's because I don't expect him to be as big of the man there. But I expect him to still be the man there.
Yeah, I mean, he was very much the man in Houston.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
Him and Watson had a connection, and you don't know if it's going to happen this year.
I gave him 1,165 yards. Oh no, that was last year. I gave him 1,171. Gave him a little bumsky there, not much. Yards per catch, he was only 11 last year. I bumped him up to 12.3, so I gave him a little bit extra there. 7 touchdowns for him last year. I gave him 8 this year. So I think it really comes down to he's got Fitzgerald. I expect him to get around 600 reception yards. He's got Christian Kirk there, probably around 650. Isabella's going to get some work. Hakeem Butler will probably get some work. It's just guys are going to chip in there. Oh, and the running back also likes to receive the ball too. There. So I think with everybody, I know they want to be faster paced. I know they want to be, moving the ball and the spread offense, and that's fantastic. I love it. I just, but at the same time, I mean, is Fitzgerald as dominant as Hopkins? Yes, a few years ago. It might
take a little while for them to click as well, for Hopkins and Kyler Murray to click. And I think, Fitz is there, they know each other. Christian Kirk, he seemed to like to go to last year as well. So, Hopkins might not get as much action in the first half of the season and might be a really big player in the second half. But yeah, that will count against him.
Absolutely. Let's slide over to the next guy, and that is Mr. TB12's, Mr. Tom Brady 12's wide receiver extraordinaire that everybody's given the title to. I'm also not. I feel like I'm also not a hype train guy. I get angry when people hype people up. I guess I don't know. So that's Chris Godwin. If you guys didn't figure out who I was talking about. I have him number 9. He is number 6 to the rest of the world. Yeah. So I'm just higher on a few guys and lower on him. And
he's a dynasty darling, isn't he?
Right. So his first 2 seasons was really him kind of, finding his way. Although by his second season, maybe he should have a little more. But 1,333 yards last year after 800 and change, 500 and change years before. 9, 7, 1 touchdowns in aging order there. And that 1,300 yards was only in 14 games, which is pretty phenomenal. Yeah. It's pretty sweet. So I've got him for 82 receptions. It's a little light. 1,232 yards, 8 touchdowns, and the reason that is I have Evans for 67, 1,150 yards and 8 touchdowns. I have them splitting a lot more than people think. So, yeah. Don't forget Gronk's there. Don't forget OJ Howard. The videos were on Twitter today of OJ Howard getting the catches behind his back and not actually handing them to other people. So.
I think he's really going to benefit from hanging out with Gronk. I think OJ Howard is going to
if nothing else, I get the ladies.
He's going to be on the bus.
Well, maybe not this year with the coronavirus.
Well, maybe not. I wouldn't put it past them though. So I think OJ Howard is going to be, this has worked out really well for him to learn from Gronk. Chris Godwin. Last year he had a QB that was slinging it, and
he did,
and wasn't afraid to, and he took risks, and it didn't work out for him. But it worked out for Chris Godwin. He was getting a lot of yards that way, and I just don't know what Tom Brady's going to be like. He's determined. He's such a fighter that I expect him to do well. But on from what I saw at the end of last year, he wasn't looking too good. And is Chris Godwin going to get the majority, or is it going to be Mike Evans? Godwin should play in the slot, and he could.
That's proven to be beneficial.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
with Tom Brady.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's but the jury's really out for the Bucks. It's so exciting. I can't wait to see it. I've not liked the Pats for a long time, and now I can actually enjoy Tom Brady a bit more.
So now you don't think any of that hatred is going to slide over to
If he does badly, I'm going to enjoy it.
You win either way.
Yeah, I think so. Right. Do
you
know what? I love the Dolphins, but I love NFL more, and I can just watch any game. I can, So it's
a common theme out there, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's getting bigger and bigger over here. The stadium is full every time there's a game here, and you see the crowd, and it's just every shirt that you could possibly imagine. Broncos shirts there galore, and we're just so happy to be seeing the game, and we just love watching it. It's such a great sport. I don't mind who I'm watching.
Awesome. All right, let's get to my wide receiver 10 and wide receiver 8 for others, and that is Mr. Allen Robinson. So there are some question marks on this team without a doubt. I have him for 92 receptions, just a yard under 1,200 on the season, 7 touchdowns. That is 6 receptions short of last year, a few more yards than last year, and same amount of touchdowns last year. So I'm projecting him for a very similar season to last year. Mm-hmm. Right now, he has the same quarterback as last year.
You think?
I said right now.
Well, I'm not even sure he's starting week 1. I mean,
I hope so. I drafted him last night as my QB3 in a super flex. So
right, okay.
So I didn't pay much for him, luckily.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'll let you go on him for a second while I pull up the next guy. So
Yeah, Allen Robinson. I think he's a great player, but I just think he's on a bad team, and I think they're gonna. I don't think they're going to be scoring many points, and so I'm not sure he's going to. He might get a lot of receptions. I'm not sure he's getting any many TDs, but he's the best thing they've got, and their running game is a bit weak. So if it's Nick Foles at quarterback,
do you feel better about it then?
Not really, no, because Foles plays safe, doesn't he? And Robinson might be too far away for him. So I'm a bit down on the Bears, and so I wouldn't. I'm not really drafting any of their players because I just don't see them doing much. I've seen them, really leaning on their defense and trying to win games that way.
I can buy that.
But he's an exceptional player, so they only have to win a few games, and he'll do well.
Yeah. I have no clue what's gonna happen if they switch quarterbacks. If that's really good for him or not. The over hyper targeting, is that a 1-season deal? Is that gonna be a constant deal? Who knows, right? Will they get Cohen out there to receive some more balls, take more work away? They'd like to get him out there. Not as much last season as 2 seasons ago. But yeah, it's an interesting team that has so many question marks. The quarterback debate is terrible. And is it really even an improvement if they switch him? I mean, they say it is. One guy did win a Super Bowl.
Yeah. I just think he's safer pair of hands, which might be what they need right now.
Yeah.
But with their running game, Tariq Cohen, the number 2, they really don't use him to run. So Montgomery's going to have the backfield to himself more or less, and then Cohen can come in and work the third downs. But we'll see.
Yeah,
now your next guy, I'm very excited about.
Well, so I'm going to say that Allen Robinson and these next 2 guys. We're going to talk about these 2 guys at the same time because it makes absolute sense.
Of course.
They're all in one tier. They're separated literally by less than a touchdown. So you got Allen Robinson, and I really feel like giving Robert Woods like 1 or 2 more receptions just to put him back above Kupp because I like him better than the Kupp personally. But hey, that's the way my numbers fell, so we got to roll with it. I'm not going to just tweak him for my personal seasoning. I just might not draft him that way. So Allen Robinson, then Cooper Kupp, then Robert Woods. Robinson, 208 points for the season, 206 for Cooper Kupp, and 203 for Robert Woods. I have Cooper Kupp as wide receiver 11 and Robert Woods as wide receiver 12. Mm-hmm. Woods is 15, so I'm already high on Woods as it is compared to Fantasy Pros, and they have Cooper Kupp buried at 18. So let's talk about that a little, and then I want to maybe bash a few people that they have in between, see if that's easy to do or not. But so you're excited about Cooper Kupp, you say, huh?
Yeah, I really like him. Okay. I like him, and Jared Goff likes him. And, he's his go-to guy. And he seems to be able to take it to the house. He works in the middle, and he just keeps on running. And, there's a lot of concern about whether he's going to be on the field, whether he's, last season, the first half, he was wide receiver 3, I think. And then second half, he didn't play so much, and they were playing two tight end sets, and he wasn't getting as much action. And a lot of people are predicting that this year, but I just think Jared Goff loves him, and he's got great hands, and he finds the spaces, and so I think they'd be crazy not to use him. And but Kupp and Robert Woods are both great. And it's a toss up between the 2. Kupp will get more receptions, but Wood should get more yards, and he needs a few more TDs. He didn't get so many last year.
For Woods or Kupp?
For Woods,
yeah, I think, absolutely.
His stats would really take a take a good step up if he just got a few more TDs. But again, second half of the season, he seemed to be more involved than Cup. So who knows what they're going to do? And their running game, I don't know Akers. So I don't know how much they're going to run it. I think they're going to be throwing it a lot more.
Yeah. So I'll give you both their last 3 years and then what I project them as. Cup, 869, 566. That's in half a season. So you figure that's almost 1,200 yard, 1,100 change pace. And then back to 1,161 in the 16 games he played last year. 5, 6, and then 10 touchdowns last year, which really feels like how many he's gotten every single year. When you watch him, you feel like he's gotten that the reason why is 6 touchdowns the year before was in 8 games. That was a 12 touchdown pace.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm like, why do I feel that way? That's why. Robert Woods, on the other hand, 781 in 12 games. So on a much better pace, probably around 1,200 and change, and then 1,100 change in 15 games. So easily that 1,200 yard pace, but 5 touchdowns, 6 touchdowns, same as Cup the 2 years before, although he didn't miss half a season. And then 2 touchdowns last year in 15 games, which is just terrible. But so I got Woods and Cup for nearly the same numbers: 85 receptions for Woods, 1 less for Cup. 1,187 yards for those longer ones for Woods, 1,163 for Cup, and then 7 touchdowns for Woods, 8 for Cup. It's like so stinking close. But then when I look at that touchdown number, I feel like I should go 6 and 9. I think we are gonna make an adjustment right here, live on the air. This is happening. I just went on Twitter and posted page by page my stats on there. And now they're all wrong.
And now you're going to change it. Got work to do.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll put in the comments if someone says anything.
I think they are the 1A and 1B. So it makes sense that they're right next to each other in your rankings, and it's hard to pick because I think they're going to split the receptions, and I just think Cup will do more with them. But we'll see.
Well, so here's the crazy part on that, right? So just taking one of those touchdowns away from Woods, giving it to Cup, so going 6 and 9, which are reasonable numbers for these two guys. 6 is pretty much what Woods' pace for the last 2 years 3 years minus last year, and almost 12 is the pace for Cup. So it's kind of light. That moves Cup up to number 9 and Woods down to 13. So when you look over at Fantasy Pros, am I on? Yeah, I'm on half PPR. Okay, so let me make sure I was on the right thing. They have Woods at 15, so I'm now closer to them there. Yeah, they have Cup at 18. They hate Cooper Kupp this year.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Because of last year. I feel like the end of last year. They're worried about 12 people or the 12 personnel and having 2 tight ends in the field.
Yeah.
And everybody's swimming in his territory. I feel like that would be the reason why.
So Tyler Higbee's pretty high up in their rankings, I guess.
Yeah. So too many people sitting there in his area of the field.
Yeah. Oh,
Gronk
sure.
coexisted fine with Edelman.
Yeah, well, there weren't 2 Gronks. So, Gerald Everett and Tyler Higbee. But again, if you're Jared Goff, who are you throwing to in that situation?
Right.
But Cup has to be on the field, and he is better in the slot. And if he's pushed that wide, it might work against him. But I think they'll mix it up, and the cream rises to the top, and I think he's going to be rising.
Yeah. So they've got Mike Evans above both these guys. They got Juju above both these guys. DJ Moore, who I have very close. Odell Beckham above them. So that's who they have above Woods. And they have A.J. Brown, Calvin Ridley above Cup. I don't know. We'll see. The Goff loves to chuck that ball. Like, how many yards over and over last 2 seasons? He had 38, 100 yards, and then 4,700 yards the last 2 seasons, almost.
Yeah.
Just chucking the ball. So
yeah, and
gives lots of opportunity for him.
Without Gurley this year, is that gonna make a difference? What do you know about Cam Akers?
Where do I have Cam Akers? I have Cam Akers, Malcolm Brown, Darrell Henderson, Cam Akers. I have Darrell and Cam Akers split in the backfield over the course of the season, around 600 yards on the ground apiece, 4 and 5 touchdowns apiece, Henderson and Akers, and only 1 touchdown apiece, which seems a little light. And then I have all 3 of the backs around 180 yards receiving. The problem is it's very unclear, that backfield. Yeah. A, who's going to win out? Because it could be any one of those 3 guys. B, who are they actually going to use in those situations? It was definitely one of the more annoying backfields to try and stat out.
Yeah. Well, last year they were kind of trying to keep Todd Gurley out as much as possible, weren't they, to preserve him? And Malcolm Brown was getting was taking over at times. So he might, he might be the main guy. I mean, I doubt it, but I'm not drafting any of their running backs, that's for sure. But yeah, are they going to be behind a bit more as well? I need to throw it. I hope so.
Yeah.
I like it when Goff has to throw. He's. I don't like it when he's being conservative.
No. Let's not do that. All right. So, why don't you remind everyone once again where you can be found before we hit the outro here?
Okay. So on Twitter at NFLNDFF. The website is NFLNondraftFantasyFootball.com. NFLNDFF.com for short. And one of the features I forgot to mention earlier, your roster is 16 players, and your starters, you have 11 starters and 5 bench players, and it's actually an active bench, and they're ready to come and take over if one of your starters doesn't play. So if they're inactive, don't play a snap, then they come out your team and your first bench player takes their place. So unusual for NFL fantasy. Sure. I think it could be really useful this year with potential COVID inactivities, and they could be very, there's going to be last minute inactives, and not everyone is there ready to change their team, their lineup. So these active bench will step in and save the day. So that's a feature I forgot to mention earlier. But so on Twitter, NFL NDFF, and play the website. I'm not trying to stop you from playing redraft. I'm just trying to give you another game to play, another format to try and get your head around, and you can play against everyone in the world. So you, the best player in the world, you might win your 12-team league, but can you win your 7 million team league?
Oh, damn. You guys heard him. He just talked smack to you right there at the end of the show. No, there was a format that would let you switch players out in game. So if your guy got hurt halfway through the third quarter, you could say, all right, flip out Todd Gurley, put in some other guy, and then from, X time, whatever Gurley went out, you got the time forward for the other guy.
Sure. Yeah.
That also meant you had to be paying a lot of attention. And
absolutely.
Much attention as even I pay, I don't catch everything. And sleeper alerts help and things like that to keep me, on the go if people get hurt. But yeah, it's nice that you just rank them and they pull them in for you based on where you ranked them.
Yeah, you have 5 bench players and they're in an order. And the first bench player will take the first inactive spot. It depends. You have to have one QB, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 kicker, and a DST. And then you also have 3 super flex. So obviously you're most likely to have another quarterback in, a couple of wide receivers, or but you could play 2 DSTs if you wanted. And on bye weeks and in this inactivity situation, you might have to. So
interesting.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
I was totally going to play, and then you said there was kickers. No, I'm just kidding.
I know. I shouldn't have mentioned it. I tried not to talk about that. But you know what? When I came up with this idea, kickers weren't hated so much. And it's taken me 2 years to get it off the ground. And in that 2 years, kickers are really, kicking in the dust.
You're the commissioner of 7 million players. So if you ever decide you want to pull them out, you hit a button and they're gone, right?
Wow, that's true. That's true.
All right. So I completely appreciate you coming on the show. It was a great show. A lot of help.
It's been a real pleasure. And, thank you for having me.
Thank you. And then I hope for the success of this new format. It's always fun to see a new format. I love playing in different types of leagues. Last year, we voted out our last kicker and defense in our league. I was done with them, and me and a coworker were talking, and we're like, me and Brendan, if you're out there listening, love you, bud. We were talking. We're like, we should have a league with just kickers and defenses. And that's exactly what I did. I laughed when one of the two of us said it. We both laughed, and I pulled out my phone and I sent out a tweet saying, we should start a league with just kickers and defense. And within 5 minutes, we had a full league of just kickers and defenses. Right. 8 teams. You had 4 of each. You had to start 3 of them. So you had to watch your buys. And it sucked. But it was totally worth a try to try new things. So get out there, try this league at NFL non-draft fantasy football, excuse me. I almost said DFF, non-draft fantasy football. And it's a good time. I created a fun little team for myself when we were in the pre-show here. So I appreciate that. And appreciate being in the podcast league. And I can be found at Bob's 3 Toad on Twitter, Bob's 3 Toad Warriors on YouTube. New shows Mondays and Thursdays, live stream on Wednesday with a replay on Saturday. That's been Bob and Charlie saying sooner enough you'll be able to hit the waiver wire, set your lineups, dominate your opponents. But until then, see you. Meow. Meow. Meow.